Alright guys, welcome back. So today we are going to be working on an obstacle avoidance robot, and here I already have my four-wheel drive assembled already. So if you don't know how to assemble this, please you can go back and check our video on how to assemble this four-wheel drive. So for the sake of this video, we are going to be using some couple of components. This one is our servo motor, which we are going to be using it for this to turn this left, right, yeah. And this is our ultrasonic sensor, which we are going to be using to measure the distance. And here is our motor driver. This is a two-wheel drive motor driver, so we are going to use it here. So these are the three things we are going to be needing, and most importantly we are going to need a microcontroller for the programming, and we're going to be using this masterpiece. This is our Arduino Uno, so we're going to use it as our microcontroller for this project. Welcome, and let's get started. All right, so in this project I'm going to be using a hot glue gun to join one or two things together. So if you don't have one, feel free to use a soft glue that you can remove the components whenever you want to use it. So if you have something like a super glue and you think you want to put them permanently, fine, that's good. All right, so let's get to it. So first of all, we're going to be mounting our servo motor. So we remove the cap on it. Okay. So I'm reusing a servo motor from an old project. So I'm going to be putting it inside here. So it's going to be projecting from this hole like this. Okay. Okay. So you can see I have firmly attached my servo motor down on the chassis. So now I'm going to bring out this wire so that it's going to be easily accessible by me. So that if I want to connect it to the microcontroller, I'll do that easily. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be placing this, which is my ultrasonic sensor, on this servo motor. So the head, I'm still going to be using my hot glue gun to place it on it like this, so that I can put it this way. All right, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be putting this like this and this. Great. So if you're using a hot glue gun, please do ensure that it's dried before you use it. Yes, so we're going to keep it like this, so that when we plug it here, it can turn like this and like this. Okay, so this servo motor can be programmed to turn into certain degrees. Currently I'm using a 180 restricted servo motor, which means it can only turn 180 degrees from 90 to from 0 to 180, 0 to 180. There are servo motors that can turn up to 360. All right, so I'm going to keep this to dry while I'm doing other things. So next thing to do is we're going to position our microcontroller and motor driver on the board. So you can keep it at any position of your choice. I like keeping mine next to each other this way, so I can easily connect wires from here to here and any other connections I want to make. It's going to be very easy. All right, so you're going to be needing a couple of jumper wires for connecting your components to your microcontroller. So here I have my male to male jumper wire. I have my male to female jumper wire. I have the same thing here, and I have my female to female. Probably I want to be using this one for this project, so I'm going to keep it aside. And this one is my male to female, so I'm going to be using it for this. And also, just a little reminder, your servo motor also have a screw here, which you can also tie it here. So if you just buy your servo motor, you'll be able to see a screw here So you can put the screw and tie it. For my own sake, I've already used my hot glue gun to gum them together because I lost my screws. Alright, so this I'm going to be using it for the ultrasonic sensor. I'm using the female to male because this is female and then the male is going to go to the microcontroller. Good. So here you can see we have on the microcontroller here, we have a lot of pins. Some are power pins, some are digital pins, and some are analog pins. And here we also have the label of the pins. We have the VCC, the trigger, the echo, and the ground. So we are going to be using the ground and the VCC for power, while echo and trigger are going to be connected to our microcontroller. Good. So the next thing to do is to connect our servo motor also. Our servo motor is female to female here. So I'm using male to male. I'm going to be needing male to male here. So I'm plugging it this way. Good. So the male to male on this side will be connected to the microcontroller. Don't forget, for the servo motor, you are going to be connecting this to any of the PWM pins of this microcontroller. And for PWM pins, you have pins like pin 3, pin 5, pin 9, pin 10. So you can also search online for these pinouts of this microcontroller, and they will show you each of the PWM pins that you want to use. So for now, when we are going to look at the pins we are going to use when we start the programming of the microcontroller. So here we are now going to start programming. We are going to start with the connections of the motor driver. So here on your motor driver, these pins are labeled properly here. Here we have enable A, we have in 1, in 2, in 3, in 4, then we have enable B. This enable pin, you can connect them to any PWM pins, so you can control the speed of this motor using the pulse width modulation. And here is going to be the input pins that is going to be connected to the microcontroller. So if you don't have any needs to control the speed of your motors, you can use this jumper and just connect them like this on either side. So you connect one here and you can connect the other one here too. So you can connect the other jumper here and then you are good to go like this. So for the sake of this project, I'm not going to be considering the speed, so that's why I'm putting this together. So you can see here I'm having pins, that's male, so I'm going to be plugging in my male to female. So this is my male to female. I only need 4 of it. So I'm going to plug it to the motor driver. Good. Now we have it, and this goes to the microcontroller. So for our motors is going to be here and here. So like I said, this motor driver is a 2-wheel motor driver. It's a 2-motor driver. So what we are going to do is, since we have 4-wheel drive here, we are going to be connecting this motor and this motor, and then this motor and this motor to give us one connection here. So we can connect 2 motors here and 2 motors here. Okay, so now we are going to start connecting our motors. So how are we connecting these motors? Now we are going to connect this motor to the opposite of this motor. All right, so if you connect the red wire up, now we are going to compare it this way. Now if you look inside, you see this is the top and this is the bottom, this is the top and this is the bottom. So what we are going to do is, since they are inverted, Now we are going to connect the positive of the first motor with the negative of the second motor. You join them together, and then you connect the negative of this one to the positive of this one, right? This is, now we are done with this connection. Now we come to this side also. We are connecting the positive of this motor to the negative of this one. Don't mind the color of the wires. We are still doing the same thing. Then this is the negative here. We are connecting it to the positive of this one also. So by connecting it this way, we already have 2 pinouts, 2 wires that can go in here for this motor. I already have 2 wires that can go in here for this motor also. So now that our video is complete, now that our work connections are complete, so we are now going to go to mounting the microcontroller here and doing the connection. So at this point, let's look at how we are going to power this entire robot. So this is our battery pack, which consists of four batteries, and each of these battery is 1.5 volts. So here we are going to be having 6 volts here approximately. So here on this motor driver, we have 5 volts here, we have ground, and we have 12 volts. So we are going to power it with our 12 volts, and then using the 5 volts output from this driver, we are going to power this microcontroller. So the only thing we are connecting our battery to is this motor driver. Then we are now going to use the 5 volt from this motor driver to power this microcontroller and also our sensors and the servo motor. So we are going to proceed with the mounting of each one of these so that they won't be shaking while we are doing the connection. So on my own end, I'm still going to be using my hot glue gun. So if you are still using any kind of glue, then let's do it together. Okay, so now we are going to start connecting our motors and our motor driver to the microcontroller and also the servo motor and the ultrasonic sensor. So for this, we can use any digital pin for this one. We can use from pin 2. I'm using, you can connect it to any pin actually. So we are going to specify the pin in the programming later. So like I said earlier, we are only going to be using the trigger and the echo pins of the ultrasonic sensor, which I'm going to put it in this pin. Like I said, you can put it in any pin of your choice. We are going to specify that in the programming later. So your servo motor, the yellow wire, will be the one that will go to the microcontroller. So I like to use my orange as the yellow. So this one is going to be, like I said, we are going to plug it to any of our PWM pins. So I'm going to put it in pin 10. So what's left right now is for us to connect our power supply together and wait for our programming. All right, so right now I'm going to connect the power of this servo motor and the ultrasonic sensor since they are all using 5 volts. So I'm going to cut this and peel the wire. Okay, so now you can see, let's check. Now this is my VCC. I'm going to connect it to the ultrasonic VCC so you can see it written on it. You can see it here. So the VCC, this is my VCC. So if you want to use another color, you can use another different color, but mine is brown. So I'm going to connect it together like this. And I'm going to do the same for the ground also, which this is the ground. Good. So now if you want, you can cut this out, but I'm going to just insulate my own because I may need it later. So I'm going to be insulating it with this. So avoid any breach. I'm going to do the same here. Alright, so after insulating it, I'm now going to gum this together so it's not going to be loosening. Good. I'm going to also do the same thing here. Good. So now that we have this connected, I'm going to be powering them from the 5 volts in my microcontroller. So if you look closely on your microcontroller, you can see we have a V in pin here, a ground, another ground, and a 5 volts. So we are going to put the VCC in the 5 volts, which is this red wire. We're going to put it in the 5 volt. Here we have V in, ground, ground, and this is 5 volts. Good. So this ground, I'm also going to be connecting it to one of the ground here. Good. So now we're good to go. Good. So I'm still going to be joining these two together, these 4 together, to avoid going out unnecessarily, so they can stick together. Good. So now that we have most of our wires connected, now we are going to be connecting the motors that we connect initially to the motor driver. So I think this is something we would have done earlier, but still we can do it. We will loose the screws up here and plug the wire like this. Good. So you can see after putting the wire here, then you tie it back. You make sure it's not dancing. You do the same to the second one. We put it inside. You make sure it's inside. Good. And then you tie it. So we just did this part and we're going to do the same on the other side. Alright, so we're going to do the same on this side, and as you can see, my microcontroller is blocking this, so I'll have to remove it and put it back. Did their ports be removed? Alright, so as you can see, I've already removed the board and I'm trying to fix it back. So I can just firmly place this one above the wires. Alright, so for the power supply, like I said, we are going to be putting the 3 batteries here, or is it 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. We are going to be putting the 4 batteries here, and then the ground is going to this center point, and then you connect your positive to this side. See you in the next video. Thank you very much.